So in a shocking move, the popular, but more importantly, highly successful Ukrainian Defense Minister Fedorov was removed from his post yesterday. This prompted pretty significant pushback, and today we're seeing Ukrainians take to the streets to protest this surprising move. So today we're joined by Kateryna Lisunova to discuss what happened and what this means. Kateryna is a journalist at Razom for Ukraine who has contacts and the background to understand exactly what is playing out here. Now, this is a developing situation, so to best keep up, be sure to follow Kateryna across social media. All of her links will be in the description below. And with that, let's get to the conversation. All right, Kateryna, thank you so much for taking the time. It's a pretty chaotic 12 to 24 hours here, so really appreciate it. I know you've got a lot going on today. If you don't mind, just at a high level, what's going on in Ukraine related to the Ministry of Defense?
Hi, Preston. Thank you actually for all your work. You're always covering it like on a go very fast, and I really appreciate that. And so both of us right now are watching it unfold right now, and I will try to explain what exactly are we watching. So basically what is happening right now, it's a live dialogue, live communication between society and all branches of government. And this is what is interesting. This is how it basically works in Ukraine. So far, as we've seen how it was previously in a previous protests or some other moments when society was not particularly satisfied with some decisions made by the government, we've seen that government was reacting on it. So what I would say, it's almost like a family conversation when each side explains their own thoughts of what is going on and how we should move forward. And then there will be like a common decision made to move forward with that, because this is very interesting thing that in Ukrainian society, and it's something kind of beautiful and amazing to feel as a Ukrainian, that you will be heard. Whatever you're publishing, whatever position you're writing on, and I do understand that I'm also talking from the position of a journalist, which is a little bit more higher voice than regular society, but I do know that whatever you're publishing, whatever you describing the position of a society, it will be heard, and this is the communication that we're hearing right now. But what is the communication about happening right now? What is the why the society is not particularly happy with what is happening? We do know that there was a decision by President Zelensky to reshuffle the government, to change a cabinet of minister, basically he decided for prime minister to resign, and according to Ukrainian constitution, prime minister is holding responsible for the position of all the ministers. So when prime minister is resigning, all the cabinet of ministers is resigning, and then the new cabinet of ministers should be appointed. I will not go too deep with the constitutional procedures, but basically the decision of ministers, the appointment of ministers. So there are quotes, like we call it quotes. It's like there is a parliament choosing some being chosen by president. It's a different parts how it's actually being appointed. But because Zelensky at this point has a majority in a parliament, he basically appoints all of the ministers because he has a majority, and whatever is happening, it will be in any case voted by the majority of his party. So that is why we have this moment when he kind of chooses right now the ministers. And among all of those decisions, there was one particular minister that Ukrainian society was not. In general, if being honest, this decision to reshuffle was a surprise, and society didn't understand the reasoning behind it. Why exactly we're doing it right now? Because it looks like we're moving forward quite well, and and I'm quoting right now one of the soldiers who recorded the video. He said, like, first in a long time, we were talking not about how to withstand, but how to win. We were talking about the victory, first in a long time. And you're covering it. Like, I've seen your videos. You've been doing it a lot about all of those developments which were so favorable for Ukraine. And then in the midst of this, there is a decision to reshuffle the cabinet of ministers, and there was a surprise, let's say, from the society in the very beginning, on the first place. But then again, Zelensky has a lot of months of support of his people, and so the decision was this decision was at first received quite positively. It was a shock, but there was, I wouldn't say positively, but it was a decision that Ukrainian society give amount of trust. Okay, you decided to do this,
Yep.
and there is amount of trust that Ukrainian society provided to the president because there is a big support to the president in general. But there was at least one decision which was at first in the forms of rumors that the Minister of Defense, Mikhailo Fedorov, would be among those one who will be dismissed, and another one candidate will be appointed. And this thing was unfolding one by one and moving, if I can call it like this, worse and worse. Because at first there was rumors that the very popular Minister of Defense will be dismissed, the one who actually led to those positive results, and the one who we can talk a lot about his successes. He been very positive in many reforms in his previous ministry. Also, he was the one who had this famous conversation one-on-one with Elon Musk regarding to cut off Russians from a Starlink, which was successful and very impactful. And actually just about Fedorov gave a press conference in which he described that conversation. He said it was video conversation. He said, I was always talking on the phone with Elon Musk. And then he says, like, can I call you just on a video? And we had this video conversation. And then he says, okay, I will do that. And he described it in more details. It was like very fascinating thing. So there were a month of successes that he did. And so decision to, at first was rumors about his possible dismissal, that he probably will leave the position, was already taken negatively by the society. Then the situation was growing because the next step that people start to hear that the reasoning behind getting rid of the successful minister, it's a personal conflict with the current chief of Ukrainian army, Syrsky, who is not like Fedorov, has a very negative, view by the society of Ukrainian people. And there are a lot of reasons for that, because there were a lot of very terrible scandals under his rule of army. There were situations of soldiers being in very bad situations, even dying, even torturing. And there was like a lot of very terrible scandals under his rule. And the society was waiting for Syrsky to leave for a long time now. And there were a lot of investigations by journalists, which been proving that he is not doing a good job on his position. He was very successful in 2022. In 2023, he was one of the people who led the operations in the Kyiv region, in the Kharkiv region, in the Kherson. He was participating in that. And I will quote right now Fedorov from his press conference just an hour ago. He said, yes, that was very successful, and we should never say that he was a bad chief of army, but that was at different times. The times are changing, and right now technology is on a front line, if I can call it like that. And those things should be taken more seriously. And we cannot operate the same way how we were operating in 2022, even if the strategy of 2022 happened to be successful. It doesn't mean that we need to use the same strategy. And the information was that the main reason of dismissal of Fedorov was the conflict with the most unpopular person on a position in Ukrainian government right now. And that's basically what triggered first suspicious of Ukrainian society. Then when the rumors became true, obviously Ukrainian society didn't react positively on that. And this also shows how much Ukrainian society is following each single decision and want to be a part of it, and want to be a big machine of decision making. And this also shows how democracy in Ukraine works, because I don't think that I ever seen that any of governmental decisions in the United States appointing someone would be taken so seriously by the society, and society is choosing who you should appoint and who you should dismiss. So it's a very interesting process that unfolds. Also, another thing that puts the situation even in a worst moment, that the person who should have replaced Fedorov. It's a current Minister of Internal Affairs, we call it in Ukraine. The name is of ministry, but he basically responsible for police, for like Ukrainian police and their work. But I wouldn't say that he's some kind of a negative actor, but I wouldn't say he's popular either, but but the point is that most of the people saying that he's not the one who did any positive reforms. He's not the one who was involved specifically in army decisions, and people don't see him being a good replacement of someone who is so successful in reforms, and he just started those reforms. They haven't been finished, and society has a demand on these reforms, and he gave this trust. The society believes that he may actually implement them successfully, and those are some reforms widely expected from Ukraine by Ukrainian society, and they do not believe that the replacement would do the same good job. And I hope, in a general, I explain to you what is going on.
It's a lot. It seems like Zelensky has done a good job of navigating a very complicated situation from the start of this war. But this, the more I hear about it, sounds like a mistake. The military seems upset, the citizens seem upset, and you just explained how it seems like he chose somebody who is not popular over somebody who not only is popular, but we have tangible results recently. Why was this? And it's great that people are standing up right now and arguing, but there's a little bit of concern that this even happened in the first place, right?
100%. And I would say the question is not even about popularity. It's about the achievements on the ground, and the most important things for Ukrainian society right now, it's to defeat Russia in this war, to save the country, to save ourselves as a Ukrainian nation. And when they see someone being successful in achieving this main goal, they don't want to lose it, and they are very surprised by this decision. There are a lot of conversations about the possibility that behind this is not only personal conflict between Syrsky and Fedorov, and I will repeat again that firing Syrsky is a demand that's been in Ukrainian society for a long time now, and this was a trigger that actually made this explosion, because Ukrainians were about to demand it at some point on the streets in any case. And the trigger here, it's this situation with Syrsky, who already had a lot of terrible scandals, and just the very fact that the conflict was between these two guys triggered this situation. And so, coming back to your question, why a decision like that, there are a lot of talks, and I was talking with Ukrainian deputies, members of parliament right now, just on the phone about what is going on, what's going to be next, etc., from Zelensky parties and from opposition parties, which are in a minority right now. But there are a lot of conversations that there is a fear of growing popularity of Fedorov, fear from Zelensky himself. This is what they're talking about. I cannot confirm or deny that, but I would say, as a journalist and as an observer, that the biggest platform for political popularity of Fedorov was made just yesterday by the decision of firing him. Like, that was a fast platform, trampoline, if I can call it. If there was a support, before that, there was a support of his action. Now he's a popular as a political persona, and that political popularity was created basically by a decision of Zelensky to fire him and get rid of him. So if there was any jealousy behind the popularity of Fedorov, I would say the popularity was created by this decision. So they created this oppositional figure, if I can call it. Although I will say Fedorov doesn't call himself a oppositional figure. On his press conference, he said he had a conversation with Zelensky just today. They are still talking about it, about further decisions, and society has a big hope that this decision will be reversed and Fedorov will stay in a position and he will be able to finish those reforms. But I will say, and this message, I think, more for Zelensky to understand that the biggest demand is not only for Fedorov to stay, but for Syrsky to leave.
So it sounds like it's not done. Like, a decision was made, but there's still room to go here. Do you expect pushback? Do you expect this to change, or what should we look for here in the next couple days?
Knowing the Ukrainian society, once again, which I'm repeating very much right now, that they will not back down until the demands are achieved, and more opposition Ukrainians will feel, the more protests will grow. This is how the psychology of Ukrainians is working. And I will tell you, like right now at this moment, what I am witnessing as well. There are a lot of questions are being asked to Zelensky himself. I'm in this chat group with Office of President, and there are a group of journalists who are asking him questions. There are a lot of questions right now being asked, and we're like literally bombarding the president with all those questions about what should be the next steps. That's just so you know how actively the things are happening right now. There are no answers in the chat yet from president, and it's also untypical because he is always very open to comment. He's very open to journalists, and you know it, by the way. You just had the conversation with him. He is very open. He is very, but I can tell that just the very fact that he's not answering right now on all of those questions. It's an example that they're trying to decide what is going on and what should be the next steps. Maybe they're trying also to hear the voice of Ukrainian people, because I do know there is still misunderstanding. They're listening from what I've been, and it's very insider information. From what I've heard from the representatives of Zelensky party, they are listening more to political technologists right now more than to Ukrainian society. And political technologists saying that we cannot bring back Fedorov because it will be a very big damage for political support of Zelensky. And they are following those advices. And just so you know, in my one-on-one conversations with his party, I said, you should talk to other political technologists because the voice of Ukrainian people right now is only growing. And if you will give them more opposition, more pressure them, they will pressure you back. And you don't need to have this fight with your own society who actually supports you.
Is there any concern of something like this happening in the middle of a war? I mean, the idea that people are outside protesting when there's missiles and drones that can fly by is insane, and speaks to how much they care about this. Is there any concern about a fracture inside of Ukraine, be it with political parties or between the government and the people, when an unpopular decision like this happens?
First of all, interestingly enough, it's the second time we're witnessing very similar thing in the summer, the same months. Last year, if you remember, people went on the streets with protests against dismantling anti-corruption agency. It was in the midst of corruption scandals. And at that point, it was like one of the biggest questions because it was like a first actual protests happening since the big-scale invasion started. So under how you just said, drones and war and all the scariest things that the war can bring, there are people who are protesting and trying to achieve some political demands. And there was a lot of questions of how safe it is, how risky it is for the Ukrainian nation to not fall apart, to not crack on the sides, and not have division which will ruin Ukraine from inside, while we have the external enemy already, who's very happy about any such events. And interestingly enough, because it happened last year at the same time, we already faced the same questions. And I think Ukrainian people are more confident today than they were even last year. Last year, it was even more emotional, and they just felt we need to do that no matter what. This year, I think they're more confident that we will go through this because we already had it under the war, so we can we can achieve the goals together because we already have that experience last year. So I think right now Ukrainian society will be even more brave in those actions. And once again, we need to remember, whatever is happening right now, it's not the question of to fight against Russia to protect country or not. The question right now is how to do it the best way. And what Ukrainian society doesn't like, it's changing people who were successful in defeating Russia. So we're not here witnessing people who are saying, should we just give up to Russia and and finish fighting, etc. We're witnessing people who are satisfied with achievements on a battleground for the last few months, 6 months, and they wanted this to grow because Ukrainian society want to win this war, want to protect their people, their families, and they do know that there is no future with Russia. No for Ukraine, no for anyone who will be the neighbor of Russia in case, if God forbids, Ukraine lose. So there will be no future for Poland, for Hungary, for anyone who neighbors Russia. Neighbors Ukraine if Russia would defeat Ukraine, which will never happen. And this is the actually example why it would never happen, because Ukrainians are so carefully following every single decision in the government that even the change of positions of some ministers triggered such a big process, because Ukrainian society want to be part of all of this. And I would say that I am more confident about this internal instinct of Ukrainian society, because it's already in the years and years been proven right. The only thing that I would expect is for the government to hear Ukrainian society and to understand, to listen what exactly our demands are.
It's a lot, and it's happening fast. Thank you so much, Kateryna. We'll let you get back to it because I know you're going to have a full day of monitoring what's going on, but really, really appreciate you taking the time to walk through this.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for following all those developments live. I really appreciate your work.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. All right, so thank you again so much to Kateryna for taking the time out of her, all of a sudden very, very, very busy day as all of this is playing out. So to best keep up to date with what's happening here, of course, be sure to follow her across social media. Those links will be in the description below. That's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.